Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. This is Di Parker from Busting Through Life Challenges, and today's guest is Christina Hutchinson from Mountain High Coaching. And Christina provides leadership development, life coaching, and team building. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much, Diane. Thanks very much for inviting me on.
It's just a privilege to have you. Christina, tell us all about your journey, about coaching, and what led you to coaching.
So I guess what led me to coaching, it was never part of my life plan. I mean, I had a successful career in IT and, life was plodding along in IT. And then one day somebody said to me that they were doing this local, in the Isle of Man, a local coaching course, little coaching course. And she said, oh, you might enjoy that. So I went along to it and really did enjoy it. But it also left me with the feeling that there's got to be more to it than that, because it was really just an introduction to coaching. And so I started reading up more on it, and I found a book about coactive coaching. And at the end of the book, I noticed that they'd included a website. So I went to the website, saw that they did training, and I was like, wow. Okay, there's a sign here, so I got involved in the training, and I did that was with the Coaches Training Institute. They've since rebranded to Coactive Training Institute in London. Did their full curriculum, absolutely loved it. Went on and did their certification, absolutely loved it. And since then gone into team coaching with doing ORSC with CRR UK. So I'm ORSC trained, I've done somatic coaching training, all sorts of things. And it's just not something I ever set out to do, but definitely found my purpose in life, I would say.
Yeah, you got the bug and you went for it, and that's just...
Oh, absolutely.
So how have you found that learning all of those skills in coaching has actually helped you in your own life?
Well, in my own life, I think certainly when I was still employed full time, it certainly helped me in terms of my leadership role, to bring those skills into how to develop not just the individuals, but also the team, and how to build their confidence, encourage them to take charge of their own careers and forge out their own path for what they want for themselves, to be able to have really constructive one-to-one conversations that went way deeper than just, okay, so how's the work gone this week? While that was still part of the conversation, it wasn't the only part of the conversation. And I think for myself, it certainly helped me to become considerably more self-aware. I mean, there's, through the coaching process, there's always truths that you have to confront, learn new things about yourself, where your strengths are that you didn't realize you had, but also where there's areas that you're not so hot on, and I think also one of the important things is how to really get to grips with the fact that you make your own decisions, even the micro decisions you aren't always aware of. You really become a lot more aware of the decisions that you're making and why you're making them. And I think that's massively powerful.
It is, isn't it? And it's to encourage anybody that's watching this, that they're in that sort of team environment, or they're just struggling. Work is the obvious one that you can say, this is what I need to have some support on. But it's just like anybody that's got a money issue. It's not about the money. It's not about the work. It still comes back to who we are and how we're showing up and the challenges. And that can actually feel, I think, quite scary at times when we're thinking, I'm going to actually start to work on myself. What kind of encouragement do you give your people that come to you to talk to you about these things? That's, so if somebody's going to approach you, what will that conversation kind of look like?
So typically the first conversation's going to be centered around what pain they're in, and that pain can be a relationship with somebody, interactions that they're having with somebody. It can be a feeling of stuckness, so really focusing on their own area that's causing them issues. And then moving into, so what do you want to be different?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
if this isn't what you want, what do you want?
Yeah.
And what's getting in the way?
Yeah.
And I think that's a massively important conversation. I spend quite a lot of time on the discovery process, in, you know, what it is they really want, what gets in the way, what their values are, even who do they admire in the world and why? You know, what is it, what characteristics is it about that person that they admire so much? And then really, you know, the spotlight turns onto them in terms of, you know, if you want coaching, how do you want us to work together? And, you know, how do you want me to accompany you on that journey, and hold you accountable for what it is, you know, because I'm going to hold their goal as strongly as they want it.
Yeah.
So it's really important, you know, that would be probably the basics of initial conversations.
So creating that safe space for somebody to really allow themselves to speak freely without worrying about being judged or blamed or shamed or any of those things for what's coming up. It's
absolutely
so empowering. And it's kind of like what these are about, because I want them to empower people to realize that they don't have to live where they are. They can have this freedom. And by sharing what coaching is, like people like yourself that are kindly coming on and talking about this, there are so many people out there in different avenues to support you, no matter what it is you're trying to achieve in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's important that it's also distinct from therapy, whereby you might feel stuck and you've been in therapy for a long time. I've had a few clients, I don't know about yourself, that actually have found this very empowering. And that's what it's about. It's about, you know,
absolutely,
let's get you to where you want to be.
Yes. And therapy and, you know, counseling, having a psychiatrist or psychologist, you know, that's often that focuses on what's happened in the past and coming to terms with what's happened in the past. Coaching is very much, where are you now and where do you want to be in the future? And so it is very much focused on that future goal, that future version of me, you know, really, you know, who am I now and where am I going to take that into the future ahead of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you so much for spending this time with me today. What I would like to do, and I've been asking my guests this like quick question. It's really, you know, it's about you now. Who has inspired you in the last year or two? Inspired you personally?
Goodness. I mean, there's so many people, I guess, in various ways. And I would probably say my daughter, but that's going to be over the last few years. And that's because she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019, you know, under the age of 30, not something that you kind of expect to happen in your life. But I was so blown away by how she carried that, her mindset, her positivity throughout the treatment and since the treatment ended. You know, she's healthy now, I'm happy to say. But just, you know, so inspirational in terms of the positivity and determination, I think. And then at the same time, you know, having treatment and then a couple of days later, I'm going to work. I've got a job to do. I've got things I need to do. I haven't got time to just, you know, sit around and feel sorry for myself. So just that sheer determination in terms of forging her own way through it and coming out really positively on the other side, and really, you know, real strength of character. So I found that really inspirational.
Yeah. And it might be then a thought for those listening in that they might like to reflect on their own lives, who actually is around them that inspires them in that way, rather than icons, because, you know, what you've just shared is so heartwarming. I'm so sorry that she's gone through that, but bless her for having come through it. And that's just fantastic news.
Yes.
Christina, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so you'll find me on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, I've got my website listed. You can message me on LinkedIn. And then on my website, there's also ways to contact me as well. And you'll also find a phone number on my website as well. So my website is www.mountainhighcoaching.com. And then, search for me on LinkedIn under Christina Hutchinson or Mountain High Coaching.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for being my guest today. And I look forward to when we meet up again, hopefully very, very soon.
Yes, thank you, Diane. It's been lovely to speak with you.
Thank you. Take care.